woman from Ohio, gentleman from Ohio, Mr. Davidson is recognized.
Glad we got that right. Thanks, Director Chopra. Appreciate you being here. Appreciate your work on privacy. I've really enjoyed the prominence of the Fourth Amendment in this hearing, and I know you know that I share your fondness of the respect for privacy and the sense that it really needs a lot of attention right now. So I've been developing a bill called the Payment Privacy Act that would ban the sale or distribution of consumer financial data unless the consumer provides express consent. This consent would only be legal if the consumer can identify who will receive their data at the time the consent is given. We still have a few things to work out, but it is close to being done. And most notably, we're trying to make sure that enforcement and damages provisions match the impact of the data breaches. This is clearly something that you touch on with some of the rulemaking that you've been in process with, and I look forward to continuing to work with you and your office on that. So appreciate that. But as we talk about Section 1033 Dodd-Frank would allow, so one component of 1033, as we talk about 1033, one component of it would allow tokenized account numbers. And when making data available to consumer permission third parties, so they could tokenize it, kind of anonymizes the data in a sense. This means the account identifier would mask that identity from the third party. Has the Bureau considered any alternative approaches to protecting consumer account information?
Yeah, well, in many ways, Congressman, we also have to think ahead. I've talked to some of you on this committee about quantum decryption and the risk of re-identification. And so we want to think of ways that is timeless. So we're very open to feedback on what's the other alternatives. We don't want any sort of specific technology built in. But I do fear that if we don't make sure that the rule has some real data protections, it will be a haven for misuse.
Well, and I think that's the point of not just protecting the consumer privacy. They clearly didn't disclose it. This is a way to bypass the fact that they haven't disclosed it.
Yes.
And tech kind of escalates.
I see. That could sidestep it.
Right.
I'm sorry, I misunderstood.
And I'm also fond of zero-knowledge proofs for what it's worth, and this touches on a transition point to digital assets briefly. So, Director Chopra, former directors of the CFPB, Director Kraninger, previously stated that CFPB's authority over digital assets is murky at best because there's a lack of jurisdictional clarity. Given that the, quote, larger payment participant rulemaking attempts to sweep in digital assets, how do you see the scope of CFPB's role in digital assets, and in particular, with respect to protecting self-custody and privacy?
Yeah, so it's really when it's being used for a consumer payment. So we do have a lot of non-bank payment apps. To the extent to which they are using something that is just for a consumer payment, there is case law that shows that that's covered under the Electronic Fund Transfer Act, and that's what we supervise for. So I think we've tried to be very cautious about this, and also in as much that you are legislating on it, we're happy to provide any input on it, but when it comes to that, we're really trying to address those large payment apps that, we have to make sure that are following the same set of laws that the banks are.
Right, yeah. So the general trend is to make everything account-based, and one of the best things is self-custody. So if I have cash, my identity is pretty well protected, and if I want to exchange that with someone else, then we don't really have a lot of risk of data breach or privacy issues. We payment. Now, for many of my colleagues, that level of privacy is too much privacy. They like the spying on people features of account-based systems. And I'm really concerned that we protect self-custody because that is at the core of privacy. It is the core of protecting your money because someone's not skimming part of it for providing services unless you want them to. So one other thing that I just want to touch on is the last numbers I saw on Buy Now, Pay Later for Black Friday and Cyber Monday spending was $940 million. That's about a 42% jump over last year. The pros of Buy Now, Pay Later are really apparent. There's no credit check. It's interest-free up front. So if you want to buy something, say $200, and you pay $50 now, you can pay 3 more payments of $50 and do it. Does that start at some point, especially if you don't make that next payment, start to look a lot like credit? You did some work on this.
Yeah, so we're trying to make sure that those similar types of use cases have similar treatment. Buy now, pay later is an option for many, many people, and you're right, it has grown and there's a lot more providers. I think there are some issues, some credit reporting issues, other things that we do need to keep thinking about.
All right, thank you. My time's expired. I yield.